I wanted to do an imperfect Batman, really rock him to his core.
I gotta do this my way.
A dark Batman, different from the rest, and a detective Batman. This was the risky connotation that Matt Reeves wanted for his Batman.
The first conversation I had with Matt about it, I just knew there was something radically different from anything we'd seen in Batman movies before.
Did this decision affect the character? And why did Reeves choose it this way?
I wanted to lean hard into the noir side of the Batman and make him the world's greatest detective.
A detective Batman that was new, something that had never been seen before, or maybe it had.
Matt wrote a really good script, and I remember reading it the first time, and, you know, page 10, 20, going, gosh, this is good. Like, it's tight, it's solid, it's really well conceived, it's unexpected. This person, this writer, this director is driving at something.
This Batman is undoubtedly darker than his predecessors, turning more into a detective obsessed with justice.
Who knows how many people it touches? Politicians, police, the courts.
Being a much more serious and darker version, Matt Reeves wanted to avoid anything that might seem exaggerated or caricatured, including iconic lines that could distract from the somber atmosphere.
Somewhere early in the writing, this idea of him not saying, I'm Batman, and that he'd been referred to as this vigilante who takes on the name The Batman to the city.
But not using the character's most iconic line was a risk he took.
That's what he represents to the city. That he, in this early stage, is not yet known by the city. So he's actually, at this stage in his career, kind of a frightening figure to the city. And so I didn't want him to announce that he was Batman.
So the iconic line was replaced with something more in line with the character's origins.
And I wanted him to use that phrase that is so much in so many of the comics, which is for him to say, I'm vengeance, because this is a personal mission.
But not only did the line change, as within the first 10 minutes of the movie, the protagonist is introduced, and he does so with his new line.
The hell are you? I'm vengeance.
There is a dark side to this idea of vengeance.
Now, Reeves had a very clear vision for his movie, but he needed the right protagonist. And how did he come to think of Robert Pattinson for the role?
And when I saw all the different aspects that Rob brought to that role, I was like, I really think it's Rob. And so I started writing with him in mind.
So the role of Batman was taken before a casting.
And one thing I had no idea as I was writing this was, is Rob going to have any interest in playing Batman?
But it turned out that wouldn't be a problem.
Something very strange happened, which was that it turned out that Rob had had a love of Batman since he was a kid. And in fact, I think on one of the Twilight commentaries, I believe he does a Batman voice when he's with Kristen Stewart.
A movie with a runtime of 3 hours must have memorable antagonists, and to fill that role was the character of Catwoman, which is not an easy role to cast or play.
We actually did screen tests, and we brought in different actors, and Zoe came in and she just stole it. You could feel that drive, the need in her that was Selina Kyle.
We truly did love Frank Miller's Year One and the way he drew Selina Kyle.
I told you, baby. I can take care of myself.
She's got a wonderful fierceness. When she squares up with Batman, she's got this muscularity about her.
These are not easy scenes to perform, and some actors resort to stunt doubles. But this was not the case for Zoe.
The first couple months of training was, you know, it was intense. I would hobble home. Started training in November 2019, and then we shut down in March for 6 months, and I tried my hardest to just kind of remember everything I've learned.
So to keep the two heroes entertained in this story, Matt didn't include just one villain, nor two, but 3 villains. Carmine Falcone.
Obviously, he was influenced by The Godfather. You know, it's very clear. And I know The Godfather backwards and forwards in the book, and even some of the inspirations for The Godfather too. But I think it's, you know, it stands alone, and it's a wonderful group of actors.
Speaking of wonderful actors, we have Colin Farrell, who immerses himself in the role of the Penguin, and also in the makeup for this role.
It was supposed to be nothing like this. I hadn't any idea, Matt Reeves, when he cast me, hadn't any idea that it was going to be as transformative a process.
Surely such a drastic transformation must have been difficult to achieve.
Matt said, have you seen it yet? Have you talked to Mike? Mike just sent it to you. You want to see? You want to see? Honestly, when I saw Mike Marino's work and what he had created and how the Penguin was going to look facially, what his visage was going to be, I was so blown away, and I was so moved and excited and provoked, and my imagination just kind of kicked up a notch.
For the other actors, this was the reaction to seeing him for the first time transformed as the Penguin.
Matt said, he's like, you're not gonna recognize him. And I was like, yeah. And then Colin walked up to set and I was like, no.
The person responsible for this incredible transformation was...
Hi, I'm Mike Marino, and I am the prosthetic makeup designer.
I'm Mike Fontaine, and I do special effects makeup, prosthetic makeup, particularly Colin Farrell as the Penguin.
Being a design for a gangster character, it was obvious where the inspiration should come from.
I wanted something that was a little pathetic and a little sympathetic, so he was referencing Fredo from The Godfather. And I had some ideas of some older gangster.
Mike and I were both mentored by a very famous, legendary makeup artist named Dick Smith, who had done The Godfather. He did The Exorcist and Taxi Driver.
The Riddler. This was the first time this character became the main villain in a Batman movie.
What I wanted to do was have the Riddler lead us on a path where there are lots of possibilities when they meet at Arkham.
Among really spectacular action scenes, what was a simple dialogue became one of the director's favorite scenes. What do you want from me?
Want? Oh, if only you knew how long I've been waiting for this day, for this moment.
And that's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, and I love the way that Paul and Rob played that scene.
I told you. We've been doing this together. You're part of this. We didn't do anything together. We did.
I think it's more similar than Bruce would like to really admit. I think that's why it's extremely troubling for him. The Riddler follows through and his justice is fatal.
The movie truly has a great cast who knew how to bring their characters to life.
I think all of the characters are so multidimensional. It's not black and white, and the humanity is what people really respond to.
With a story even darker than previous Batmans, and a distinctive touch created by the director.
By far the hardest thing I've ever been a part of. Never worked on anything so long when we were in production because of what we went through. I thank you from the bottom of my heart because I care so much about what we do. This movie means so much to me, but you guys showed me that you care just as much. Thank you so much.
Well, that's all. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments what you thought of the movie and how much you liked the movie.